Hey, what's going on guys? So this is going to be a quick video on how to add menus to your game, such as the main menu, and then we're also going to be adding like the pause menu, things like that. So let's just get straight to it. First, let's just add the main menu. So we're going to go to the layouts and we'll add a new layout. We don't need to give it an event sheet because I'm going to make sure this is also suitable if you're using the free version. So let's add a layout, we'll call it main menu. And then in here, we just now want to add a few sprites. So we're going to right click, insert an object, sprite. And we can just give these some random colours, fill these in whatever you want. So this is going to be a background colour. So this one we can just call it main, menu, background. And then on top of that we want to add another image. And then for this I had some sprites that I've just repurposed such for a play button. Obviously for this use whatever images you want, or alternatively for now just as a template you could just simply get any image, just a rectangle with some colour and just right play on it. And then this is just to show that because we're going to add an animation as well. So what you can do is, so you can have two sprites. So you have a, one before and one after if you push it in. And then so what we can do is we can select the animation over here. And we just want to set the speed to 0. So this means that this is only going to change frame when we tell it to. That's it for that. So you've now got your play button. On top of this, I've just quickly added another sprite here for a title, just to give you another demonstration of something I like to do, where if you add some sort of title, for your game title, and then you can add a sign behavior to this, and then if we set this to vertical, and you can just set the magnitude something low, like 10, and then if we preview this, that would then add a nice little animation of it just moving up and down for your main menu. So that's just a cool little feature I like to add. Alright, so that's the basics for the main menu. Now let's go to the event sheet and add this. So scroll down to the bottom and we're going to add a group and we'll call this main menu. Alternatively, if you have the paid version, I would highly recommend using different event sheets and different layouts for this. So I would make a different event sheet for the main menu and I would, call that to in there to go to the new layouts. Alright, so anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to add an event. And we're going to say, so for this we're going to be using the mouse. This works for everything else, so we're going to search mouse, on click, object. So we're going to say on object clicked, and then we're going to add the new sprite we added. I forgot to rename it, but you so choose your play sprite here. And then what we're going to do is, so to add an action, we're going to say, so actually what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go up to the top, and if you followed the save load video, which I highly recommend if you're following the Platformer series, I've added a video where I show you the basics on how to save and load your project. So if you collect coins and things like that, it'll save them, and then when you come back into the game after not playing, it'll remember the values. But anyways, we're going to copy these here from that video and paste them down here, and I'm just going to explain this real quick if you've not done this. So all this is doing is, so this is comparing these global variables at the top. So we have a global variable, which is the level number, and then what we want to do is, so you don't have to do it this way, but So if that variable equals 1, for example, we're going to tell the game to go to level 1. And then this is what we've done here with the local storage. So pause here right now, and if you are going through this, I'd highly recommend watching the save load video, and it'll really help you get a better understanding. Alternatively, you don't have to do this, and also if you only have one layout, you could always make it go to layout 1 here. You could very simply also just put in here into the actions, go to layout 1. And then one final thing I'll go through is, if you are using the paid version, or I would highly recommend using dictionaries for this. So I would set up a dictionary that would have your level stored in it, and then you would right click, insert an object, dictionary. You'd add the dictionary in here, so you'd go down, you'd right click, you'd go to files, insert new dictionary. It's like an event sheet. You'd add something called like level, you set the initial value to 1. And then you just, so instead of going to a specific layout, you'd go to layout by name, and you'd go dictionary.get, you'd put brackets, and then you would just say, what you do is you go to level, well, so let's say it's whatever you called it, so if we were calling, the structure of level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you do level, and dictionary.get, level, right? So that's how you do that anyways. So I went off a little tangent there, but I'm just trying to make sure this works for all different methods. Okay, but that's it for that, guys. So I just wanted to go through a few different ways you could actually go about setting up the play button, because it's as simple as that, right? You could either use a dictionary, you could directly reference the layout, or you can use a global variable to say if it's this one, go to level 1. If it's 2, go to level 2. And you would just continue going that direction. So that's completely up to you, that. Alright guys, so regardless of which method you followed, that should work now. So if we was to test this, and you was to preview from that layout, so we'll preview from the main menu, we have a nice little sign here, and then you click play, and it goes to whichever level you're at. Okay, great, so let's add the pause menu next. To do this, we need to add a new layer, so we're going to add a new layer above. We'll call this pause. And then we'll lock this for a second, because we also need a pause button to click, so you would not put the pause button on the pause layout. So let's just say on the main layout, or whatever layout you're using for your UI, you want to put it on this one, and so all we'll do is insert a new sprite, add your sprite image here like so, and then for now I'm just going to place a nice big pause button right up here, like this. The only big key thing to make sure is you make sure you put this on your your UI layer or your HUD, because you need to make sure that it's on a layer where there's no scaling. So in here, as you can see, the parallax scaling is set to 0, which means when you're playing the game and you're moving across like this pause button's always going to stay there. So if you preview now, when I move, the pause button stays there. Okay, so now let's go back to the pause layer we added. And now inside of there, we just want to add all of the different buttons to click when you're paused. So we could add a few things to this, right? So we could add a new object. I'm also going to add a quick overlay. So we'll do this. We'll set the alpha to 100. And just drag this out like this. And then inside the pause layout as well, we want to make sure it's not initially visible and it's not initially interactive. That's important to make sure you can't accidentally click buttons in the pause menu. Now just add whatever buttons you would like. So we're going to add 3 buttons here. So just real quick right now, you just need to add 3 more sprites. Alright guys, once you've added your buttons, another real quick thing you can do as well is if you right click, another good tool to keep in mind is you can also align everything quite nice. So if you just head over here real quick and you could search, so you could align it vertically. And then you could also align the spaces horizontally as well, just to keep everything centered. On top of that, you could then align again, and then you could align it to be centered to the actual viewport. So you could just center horizontal right here, and that just centers everything nice. Alright, great. So now what we can do is we can head over to the event sheet and start making this work. So we'll head over here, add a new group. What we'll do is, so once again, just like the main menu, we're just going to search, so we'll search mouse, on click object, and we're going to search for pause button. So on the pause button clicked, what we want to do is, so we want to make sure that when we click, we want to enable this pause layer. We want this to initially be disabled, and then when we click the button, it sets it back to enabled. And then when you quit, we then want to, set it back to disabled again. So we're going to say system. We're going to say set visible on the layer. So we'll go system set visible. You want to search. You want to press quotation marks to get your list. We want to select pause. So pause layer set visible. So when you click, we set the layer to visible. And then we also want to make it so you can interact with it. So you also want to search interact on system. And we want to set it to interactive. Like this. Alright, great. Let's just test this to make sure it's working so far. Just preview the layout. And as you can see, when we hit pause, now we can see the pause menu. Like so. Alright, so now we've got that working, we can now set the different buttons. So we could just duplicate this here. And then we can just change the different buttons. So we have quit. We have restart. And we have resume. Great, so for this one, what we can do, so the easiest one is quit, so let's start with that. And for this one, we can search, so if you was to actually export this as a real game, so what we can do is, so you want to insert the browser object, so right click, add the browser object. So you head back over to quit, add an action, browser, and then for this we just want to close. Now this is just simply closes the browser, so this will close the game down. So you'd use that same function for also if you was to export this to like a mobile game, or if you actually make it a browser game. So it's simple as that for quit anyways. Alternatively, if you don't want to close the game, you could alternatively go to layout. So let's say you want to go back to the main menu, you could go back to the main menu. So that's completely up to you whether you want to close the game fully, or if you want to go back to the main menu. For now, I'll make this go back to the main menu. For restart's really simple, system, and then you can just simply say restart layout. And that will just restart whichever layout you're on. And then for resume, so resume we can just simply, actually what we can do is we can just copy these for the pause, and we can just say invisible, say not to be interactive. Okay, so far the buttons will work. We'll test this real quick. There is one thing we're still missing, but we'll add that in a second. So now we can play the game, we hit pause, and as you can see, so the buttons will work, but we need to fix this issue where you can still play in the game in the background. But right now, if you see, I can stand over here, we'll hit restart, restarts the game, hit resume, gets rid of the main menu, and then quit, it'll take us back to the main menu. Okay, so to fix the issue with playing the game when it's paused, all we have to do is the same thing we did for the pause layer. So instead of setting the pause layer to interactive false, we can set the main layer or your main game layer. And we can do the same thing and make it so you can't interact with that. So we're just basically doing the opposite. So make the pause layer interactive, make the main layer not. And then here you could do the same thing here in the opposite. So when you resume, you then just set the main layer back to interactive. Another thing you can do is also you can set the timescale. So here, so as you can see, change this time in the game. So you could use this for a slow motion effect or a pause effect. I mostly use this to pause the game, so you can set this to 0. Put that in the pause one. And so this will then also just pause the game at the same time. And then you just paste it in the resume as well and just set that back to 1. You also want to make sure inside of restart you do the same thing. So restart and resume basically have the same effect, right? So you just want to, what you could do is you could just copy these and just paste them in there like this. Alright, so that should be it, guys. Let's test this. We can pause the game, and as you can see, it now freezes the game, but you can still click the buttons. And when you continue, so even if you're jumping, you'll continue. We can restart, and we can quit. And we've got a nice main menu. Alright, so that's it for this one, guys. I've just tried to make a quick little video on how to make menus, because I realised I didn't cover that too much in the tutorial series. So yeah, that's it, and take care. I'll see you in the next one.